Her voice sliced the Napa Valley twilight like a jagged blade. Nathan's ex has such Compton vibes. Love that grit. Sophia's words, thick with scorn, struck Maya Carter's face like a whip slash. A black landscape architect, Maya stood tall, her brilliance mocked, her legacy reduced to a cruel stereotype before a glittering crowd. This wasn't just an insult. It was a theft of her identity, a deliberate erasure of her truth. Will she crumble under this venom or rise to reclaim her power? Stay with us for a twist that'll flip this story upside down. Hit that subscribe button, tell us where you're watching from, and let's dive into Maya's fire. Maya Carter, 29, stood at the heart of a world she'd forged. The Napa Valley Resort, its gardens a symphony of lavender, roses, and winding stone paths, carried her soul, designs that blended nature's grace with raw elegance. Yet tonight, she wasn't a guest among the sparkling wine glasses, silk dresses, and tailored suits. She was a force, co-owner of Horizon Ventures, her authority hidden in the shadows. Her dark eyes, sharp as obsidian, swept over the wedding reception, a lavish scene where her uncredited work flourished, unnoticed by the elite. Sophia's venom wasn't just personal, it was an assault on Maya's empire, stirring memories of a past where her designs were stolen, her name erased. Nathan's betrayal, his silence now, echoed those old wounds, but Maya's heart beat steady. Her tailored blazer, a quiet rebellion against the ostentatious gowns, marked her as an outsider in their eyes, yet she held the reins of this place. Each step she took was a reclaiming of her space, her purpose, as unyielding as the vines framing her vision. This night wasn't a celebration. It was a crucible, and Maya's resolve would burn brighter than the chandeliers above. The Napa Valley air was heavy with the scent of blooming lavender, sun-warmed vines, and the faint tang of oak, a living canvas Maya Carter had painted with her hands, heart, and unyielding spirit. Her tailored blazer, sharp and understated, stood in stark defiance of the ostentatious gowns that swirled around her, their silks catching the golden light. She wasn't just a guest in this glittering crowd. She was a sentinel, a silent guardian of a domain she'd shaped. Horizon Ventures, her firm, had quietly claimed this resort, its gardens a testament to her genius, each petal and path a piece of her soul. Her fingers, calloused from years of sketching, traced the edge of her iPad, its screen glowing with blueprints of gardens stolen long ago, their intricate designs uncredited, buried under another's name. Maya's jaw tightened, her dark eyes narrowing as she moved through the crowd, each step deliberate, a reclaiming of space in a world that sought to shrink her, to box her into stereotypes. She wasn't here to sip wine or exchange pleasantries. She was here for truth, her presence a bold declaration of resilience forged in the fires of betrayal. The laughter of the elite, their voices dripping with privilege, echoed like a distant storm, but Maya's focus was a blade, cutting through the noise. Her heart beat steady, her purpose as unshakable as the stone paths she'd laid beneath their feet. Nathan's shadow loomed in her memory, his past thefts a wound that fueled her now. This resort was hers, its beauty her creation, and no one would strip that away. She stood taller, her resolve a quiet thunder, ready to protect her legacy. Sophia's voice carved through the hum of the Napa Valley reception, sugary yet razor-sharp, a poisoned honey that silenced the clinking glasses. "Maya's so street-smart chic," she declared, her polished smile a mask of ice, her words a calculated dagger that slashed Maya's career into a crude caricature. The crowd's murmurs swelled, a restless chorus of intrigue and judgment, their eyes pinning Maya Carter where she stood, her iPad clutched like a lifeline. Her face was a fortress of professionalism, but her pulse surged, the sting of being belittled, a wound she knew too well. Sophia leaned in, her voice louder, commanding the room. "I heard you did some gardening back then. So cute." The word cute was a sneer, dripping with dismissal, as if Maya's award-winning designs, the backbone of Verdant Designs, were childish scribbles, not the foundation of an empire. Nathan Hayes, her ex-husband, emerged from the throng, his tailored tuxedo framing a smirk that carried years of betrayal, his silence as damning as Sophia's venom. Maya's heart pounded, memories of stolen credit crashing over her like a tide. Blueprints claimed, her name erased, her dreams mocked, yet she refused to break, her dark eyes locking onto Sophia's with a fire that burned steady, unyielding. The crowd's whispers grew, some amused, others uneasy. But Maya stood taller, her resolve a steel thread weaving through her pain. She excused herself with a nod, her steps measured, each one a defiance of their scorn. This wasn't just an insult. It was an assault on her truth, a challenge to the empire she'd built from ashes. Maya Carter was no stranger to fighting for what was hers, and tonight, that fight was only beginning. Her hand tightened on her iPad, its blueprints her armor, her heart a drumbeat of purpose. The sting of Sophia's words clung to Maya Carter like smoke, but her strength had been forged in fiercer flames. Years ago, Chicago's rain-soaked skyline was her backdrop, its gray light filtering through a modest apartment where a younger Maya sat, her pencil dancing across sketches of urban gardens meant to mend broken communities. Her dreams were vast, a quiet flame that burned through sleepless nights. Nathan Hayes, her fiancé then, sprawled nearby, his voice smooth, but edged with dismissal. "Your designs are sweet, Maya, but they won't sell to our clients," he'd said, his red pen carving gashes through her boldest ideas, each stroke a theft of her vision. She'd trusted him, mistaking his charm for love, but his suggestions morphed into demands, her work twisted to fit the cold commercial mold of his family's empire. At a sleek Chicago gallery, Maya unveiled a community park design, her voice steady with conviction, her heart soaring as the crowd roared approval. Nathan clapped, his smile polished, but later, over a candlelit dinner, his words cut deeper than any blade. "Scale it back, Maya. Big ideas don't always sell." The betrayal grew sharper when she saw her work presented under his name, her contributions buried in footnotes, her dreams reduced to a shadow. Maya's heart fractured, but she channeled her pain into Verdant Designs, her own firm, a defiant beacon of independence born from betrayal. Alone that night, surrounded by her sketches, she vowed to never let another soul dim her light. Each line she drew was a rebellion, each garden a promise to herself. Now, in Napa Valley, those old wounds pulsed, Sophia's mockery, an echo of Nathan's theft. But Maya was no longer the woman who bent to doubt. She was a force, her resolve a fire that no scorn could extinguish. Her past had shaped her, but her truth would define her, and tonight, that truth was ready to rise. Maya Carter stood alone in the Napa Valley night, the valley breeze cooling the fire in her cheeks, her heart a drumbeat of resolve. Sophia's mockery and Nathan's silent complicity had crossed a sacred line, but this was no petty slight. It was a violation of her domain, an assault on the empire she'd built. Her phone glowed in her hand, its light a beacon as she dialed her operations manager, her voice steady as forged steel. "Pull the reports. Confirm the violations. Shut it down. Now." The manager's reply was immediate, a litany of infractions. Sophia and Nathan had crammed 20 extra guests into suites meant for 10, brought outside food that left rooms littered with trash, and berated staff with arrogant, haughty demands, all flagrant breaches of the resort's ironclad contract. Maya's lips curved into a resolute smile, not of triumph, but of certainty. She wasn't acting on impulse. She wielded the authority of Horizon Ventures, her designs and legacy protected by law. Within moments, the resort transformed. Chandeliers dimmed, fairy lights flickered out, and the pulsing music fell silent. Security moved through the crowd, their directives polite but unyielding, ushering guests toward exits as confusion rippled. Sophia's shrill protests pierced the air, her voice cracking with indignation. Nathan barked futile orders, his authority crumbling. But Maya's command was absolute, a force as unshakable as the stone paths she'd designed. From her car, dashboard lights casting a soft glow on her face, she felt no thrill, only a deep clarity. This was about reclaiming her worth, her work, her truth, a truth forged through years of stolen dreams and relentless grit. She handed her business card to the resort manager, her voice calm but laced with steel. "If they have issues, tell them to call my lawyer." As she drove away, the darkened resort shrank in her rear view, its silence a testament to her power. The weight of her stand was just beginning to ripple, a wave that would reshape the world's view of her. Her heart beat steady, her purpose a fire that no one could extinguish, her legacy now a beacon for those who dared to stand. The Napa Valley night shattered into a digital firestorm, its embers blazing across screens worldwide. A guest's shaky TikTok video, boldly titled "$1 Million Wedding Crashed by Secret Owner," captured the resort's sudden darkness, Sophia's frantic, piercing protests, and the bewildered exodus of guests in their glittering finery. It spread like wildfire, racking up millions of views by dawn, a viral tidal wave that refused to slow. Comments flooded in, a chaotic symphony of awe, outrage, and debate. "She's a legend," one user proclaimed, their words echoed by thousands. Another sneered, "Pure revenge drama, nothing more." Maya Carter sat in her Chicago office, the city's skyline glinting like a promise through her window, as she scrolled through the whirlwind of reactions. Her expression was unreadable, her heart a steady drumbeat amidst the storm. She hadn't sought this frenzy, hadn't craved the spotlight, but she felt no regret, only a quiet certainty. The contract was her shield, its clauses clear as crystal. Sophia and Nathan had violated every rule, cramming 20 extra guests into suites, littering rooms with outside food, and berating staff with haughty, dismissive demands. Security footage, now burning a hole in her inbox, laid their arrogance bare. Sophia snapping at a young waiter, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. Nathan waving off complaints with a smug, careless gesture. Maya's stand was no petty vendetta. It was justice, rooted in the ironclad clauses she'd signed as co-owner of Horizon Ventures. Yet the world saw only the spectacle, splitting into factions. Some crowned her a queen, a symbol of defiance. Others branded her vindictive, a scorned ex lashing out. Her phone buzzed, a message from a colleague flashing on the screen. "They're saying you went too far. What's the truth?" Maya leaned back, her gaze fixed on the horizon, where dawn painted the city gold. She knew her evidence was airtight, a fortress of facts no rumor could breach. But the court of public opinion was a different battlefield, one where truth fought against noise. This moment wasn't just about her. It was about every voice silenced, every truth buried under privilege and power. Her next move would carve a path not just for her legacy, but for the futures she'd inspire, for every woman who'd been told her dreams were too big. Her heart held steady, her purpose a flame that no storm could snuff out. The viral storm raged on, a relentless tide, but Maya Carter's resolve stood like bedrock. In a San Francisco conference hall, the air thrummed with industry chatter, a restless hum that fell silent as Jameson Reed, a rival architect with a venomous tongue, took the stage. His voice carried a sly, cutting edge, each word honed to wound. Was Maya Carter's Napa Valley move justice, or just a scorned ex's petty vendetta? He asked, his smirk daring the crowd to doubt. Some nodded, drawn by his charisma. Others frowned, sensing the barb's cruelty. Maya sat in the audience, her posture a study in calm, her fingers resting on a folder of documents. Ironclad proof of Sophia and Nathan's contract violations. She didn't flinch as Jameson's words landed, each one a calculated strike meant to tarnish her name, to paint her as a woman driven by spite rather than principle. The reports in her folder told the truth. Sophia and Nathan had flouted every rule, cramming suites with unauthorized guests, littering rooms with outside food, and unleashing haughty tirades on staff, all captured in damning security footage. Maya knew her truth was a shield, unyielding and absolute. But Jameson's insinuations sowed seeds of doubt, his narrative twisting her stand into something small, personal. Whispers trailed her as she left the hall, a ripple of judgment from colleagues and strangers alike. But her steps remained deliberate, her dark eyes burning with a fire no gossip could dim. She wasn't here to play his game, to chase applause or beg for validation. Her phone buzzed, a colleague's text flashing a warning. The rumors are growing. They're questioning your motives. Maya paused, the city's hum a faint pulse beneath the fog. She'd faced worse than whispers. Nathan's betrayals had carved resilience into her bones, taught her to stand firm when the world sought to pull her down. This wasn't about silencing critics or winning debates. It was about protecting her truth, her empire, the legacy she'd built from the ashes of doubt. Her next step wouldn't be fueled by revenge, but by clarity, a bold move to show the world what she stood for. She clutched her folder tighter, its weight a reminder of her power, her purpose a beacon that no rival could extinguish. Maya Carter was ready to rise, her heart a steady flame in the storm. Maya Carter turned pain into purpose, her resolve a quiet fire that blazed a new dawn. In the Napa Valley resort, where her stand had ignited a storm, she now stood on a stage, her deep blue dress shimmering under the soft glow of evening lights, a beacon of strength. She announced the Horizon Rising Fund, a lifeline for women of color in design and real estate, her voice steady and resonant, carrying a vision that stretched far beyond gardens, to forge futures for those told they didn't belong. In the crowd, Aaliyah, a young designer, clutched a sketchbook, her eyes alight with dreams Maya had kindled, her presence a testament to the fund's promise. The impact was already rippling across cities. Scholarships lifted students in Detroit, their pencils sketching new possibilities. Mentorships empowered entrepreneurs in Miami, their businesses blooming like the gardens Maya designed. Maya spoke not of triumph, but of duty, her words humble yet electric, rooted in the betrayals she'd overcome. Nathan's thefts, Sophia's slights, a world that tried to dim her light. Security footage and contract clauses, proof of Sophia and Nathan's violations, overcrowded suites, littered rooms, staff mistreatment, sat quietly in her files, a silent justification of her actions. She didn't boast or flaunt her victory. Her work spoke louder, its roots deep and unshakable. The applause rose like a tidal wave, a roar of recognition. But Maya's gaze remained forward, fixed on the lives she'd touch, the futures she'd shape. Aaliyah approached, her voice soft but sure, her words a spark. "You showed me I belong," she said, her sketchbook a map of dreams now within reach. Maya's smile was warm, her heart swelling with a fullness that no betrayal could steal. This wasn't about settling scores or proving points. It was about planting seeds for change, nurturing a legacy that no one could uproot. Her vision stretched beyond Napa, beyond the gardens she'd built, to a world where every woman could stand tall, her dreams as vast as the horizon. Maya's purpose was a flame, her resolve a promise, and the applause was only the beginning of the change she'd sow. Maya Carter's Chicago office glowed with the soft golden light of dawn, the city's jagged skyline a silent vow beyond her window. She sat before a camera, her voice clear and unwavering, each word a stone in the foundation of her truth. "I didn't act to destroy," she said, her tone deliberate, resonant, "but to protect my work, my truth, my legacy." On her laptop, security footage flickered. Sophia's sharp voice berating a young waiter, Nathan's dismissive wave silencing staff complaints, their violations laid bare in stark clarity. Overcrowded suites bursting with unauthorized guests, rooms littered with the remnants of outside food, hostile behavior that shattered the resort's contract. Maya's evidence was a fortress, ironclad and unassailable, her stand rooted in justice, not the petty vengeance her critics claimed. As she uploaded the video to Verdant Design's website, a flood of comments surged in, a digital tide of voices rising. "You inspired me to stand up at work," one wrote, their words raw with gratitude. Another declared, "Your truth is ours," echoing across borders. The online storm shifted, no longer a clash of outrage but a chorus of empowerment, as designers, activists, and dreamers from Harlem to Hong Kong shared stories of reclaiming their worth, their voices amplified by Maya's courage. She leaned back, her gaze steady, feeling the weight of her impact ripple through lives she'd never meet. She hadn't sought fame, hadn't craved the spotlight, but her clarity had sparked a movement, a wildfire of resilience that no doubt could quench. Her phone buzzed, a new message lighting up the screen. A young designer from Atlanta, her words trembling with awe, thanking Maya for showing her what courage looked like. Maya's heart swelled, not with pride, but with a deep, unshakable purpose. She was no longer just an architect of gardens, crafting beauty from soil and stone. She was shaping futures, her truth a beacon for those who'd been silenced, a light that pierced the shadows of dismissal. Each comment was a seed, each story a garden, and Maya's vision stretched beyond Chicago, beyond Napa, to a world where every dream could take root. Her resolve was a flame, her legacy a promise, and this was only the beginning. Maya Carter stood on a windswept cliff in Big Sur, the Pacific's waves thundering below, their relentless rhythm a hymn to her unyielding spirit. The horizon stretched wide, painted in vibrant hues of lavender, gold, and crimson, a canvas as boundless as her vision, as infinite as her dreams. She wasn't just building gardens anymore. She was forging a movement, a legacy that lifted voices long ignored, that carved space for those told they didn't belong. Her Horizon Rising Fund had blossomed, seeding hope from Chicago's South Side to Oakland's vibrant streets, empowering women like Aaliyah to dream without limits, to sketch futures as bold as their hearts. Maya's soul carried the weight of her journey, Nathan's betrayals, his theft of her designs, Sophia's slights, her venomous words that sought to diminish, a viral stand that shook the world and split it in two. Yet she stood humble, her strength rooted not in vengeance, but in a truth so pure it burned. The evidence, security footage capturing Sophia's arrogance, Nathan's dismissals, contract violations laid bare, had silenced doubters, proving her actions were justice, not spite. As she sketched a new park in her notebook, its paths weaving threads of community, resilience, and hope, Maya knew her work was far from done. Each line she drew was a promise, each curve a defiance of the world that had tried to erase her. Her phone buzzed, a message from a California parks director praising her vision, her designs already inspiring new green spaces for families to gather. She smiled. The ocean's roar a chorus that echoed her resolve, its power a mirror to her own. This was her truth. To build, to uplift, to endure, to create a world where every dream could take root. Her heart beat steady, her purpose a fire that no storm could quench. She looked to the horizon, its colors a map of possibilities, and saw not just her own path, but the paths of countless others she'd inspired. Her legacy was a garden, its seeds sown in courage, its roots deep in justice. And so we ask you, what's your truth? Share it below, hit subscribe, and join us for more stories of triumph, of resilience, of dreams that refuse to be silenced.